Okay, with these we're going to look at how we can change the fraction into the decimal. So when you think about 1/5, we can actually say it's like saying 1 divided by 5. Okay, so we can write division like what I've done, or we can say the same as we can write it like this, 5, and we're going to say into 1. So first you can go, well, 5 into 1 doesn't go. So then we can put the decimal point there and say, all right, so, and we'll add zeros. Now, because we go 5 into 1 does not go, then we can say, well, we've got 1 left over, so we'll give it to that one. So now we can say 5 into 10. So 5 into 10 actually goes perfectly 2 times. So there you go. You now know that you can say 1/5 equals 0.2 as a decimal. Alright, so with this next one, the first step would really be to change this into an improper fraction. So we're going to say 4 times 12, which is 48, and then we'll add 5, which is 53. So it's the same as saying 53 over 12. Okay, so then instead of writing it as a fraction, I'm going to say, well, it's like saying 53 divided by 12. So I'm going to say it's like 12 going into 53. Okay, so we can add some zeros there in case we need it. So 12 into 53. Well, if you think about it, 4 times 12 is 48. So I'm going to say 4 times, and then we have the 5 left over. So I'm going to say put the 5 there, and we're going to remember we've got to put our decimal point there. So now I'm going to say 12 into 50. So it goes another 4 times, because it'd be 4 times is 48, but this time with 2 left over. Then I'm going to go 12 into 20 goes once with 8 left over. Now I need to add some more zeros, so I'm going to do that. So I've got 8 left over, and 12 into 8 goes 6 times with so 6 times 12 is 72 with 8 left over. So then I go, well, 12 into 80 goes 6, and then I'm still, if you see, I'm going to keep on getting that with the 8 left over. So what you're going to say is that this keeps reoccurring, is what we say. So when we see the reoccurring happening, so the 6, 6, 6 kind of keep going, that's when we stop, and we can actually write our answer as, if I said 53 divided by 12, it's actually equal to 4.416, and I'm going to put a dot there because that tells me that the 6 is reoccurring. Okay, so let's do this last one. So we've really got -5 divided by 8. So when you have a negative divided by a positive, your answer will be negative. So we'll remember that, and we'll just go off the same way. So we're going to say that 8, how many times does it go into 5? And we're going to add some zeros there to help us. So obviously 8 does not go into 5. So then I'll put the point, and I've had 5 left over. 8 into 50 goes 6 times with 2 left over. Okay, so 8 into 20 goes 2, because 2 times 8 is 16, with 4 left over. And then 8 into 40 goes exactly 5, so we get that answer. So now I know if I write -5 over 8 is the same as, and I'm going to remember that it's a negative, as 0.625. Okay, when we're converting decimals back to fractions, what we want to look at is we look at our decimal places. So this would be the tenths spot, and this is the hundredths spot or position. So you go to the last one that's listed, so it's the hundredths. So if it's the hundredths, we can write this as a decimal. We can say it's the same as saying 25 hundredths, like that. So once you've done that, you've changed it to a fraction, we should then see if we can simplify, which we can. We can say 25 goes once and 25 into 100 goes 4 times. So we could simplify our answer and say it is 1/4. Okay, so let's look at this next one. So this would be the tenths, this is the hundredths, and this is the thousandths. So the thousandth spot is the last one. So I'm going to write the number 1342 over 1000. Okay, and then I'm going to simplify it if I can. So I know that 2 goes into it at least, so I might try that one first. So 2 goes into 2 goes into this 671, and 2 goes into 1,500 times. And I don't think there's any other number that goes into those, so that's my simplest form. Alright, so with the last one, it doesn't matter, it's negative, we'll just remember to write our answer as a negative. So we've got the tenths spots here, so I'll write negative 8 over 10, and then I'll simplify if I can. So 2 goes into 8 4, and 2 goes into 10 5 times, so I get negative 4/5 is my answer. Okay, we're going to look at multiplying decimals here manually, so without our calculator. So the first step is just to write the numbers without, and we're going to pretend like there's no decimal places, and we're going to multiply like we normally would, long multiplication. So if you remember the process for this, I'm going to do the 3 first. So I'm going to go 3 times, I'll go 3 times 8 is 24, so I'll put the 2 and write down the 4. Then I'll say 3 times 7 is 21, but then I'll add that 2, which is 23. Then I'll do 3 times 6, which is 18, but plus 2 is 20. Then I'll do 3 times 5 is 15, but I'll add that 2, which makes it 17. Then I'll do 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7, and then 3 times 1 is 3. So there I've done the first row, and now I'm going to do I'm going to redo the 2's. Whoops. Okay, so now I'm going to do with the 2. So because it's in the tens, we put a 0 down first, and then we multiply out. So I might just delete those little ones there. So first I'm going to do 2 times 8, which is 16. So put the 1 there, put down the 6. Then I'm going to do 2 times 7, which is 14, plus the 1 is 15. Then I'm going to do 2 times 6 is 12, plus the 1 is 13. Then 2 times 5 is 10, plus the 1 is 11. Then 2 times 2 is 4, and then plus the 1 is 5, and then 2 times 1 is 2. So I've put all them there, and then I'm going to now add these, because this is how we do multiplication. So we've got 4, 9, 5, now that was 10, so I'll carry the 1 over. That's 9 all up, 8 and 2. So I have this number. So now we have to go back and think about the decimal place. So what we're going to do is we're going to count how many decimal places there were in our question. So if you look up here, I've got 1, 2, 3, and then I also have another 2 here, so I'm going to say 4, 5. So we say there's 5 decimal places, therefore, in the question, so there'll be 5 in our answer. So what you do is you move your dot, so you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's where you're going to put your decimal point. So your answer to 125.678 times 0.23 actually equals 28.90594. Okay, with the division, we're going to do sort of like what we did before when we had the fractions, dividing by fractions. So when we saw 54.6 divided by 8, what I'm saying is 8 into 54.6. So you pop that in, so you go 8 into 54 goes 6 times, and then you put the point, but it has 6 left over. So then 8 into 66 goes 8 times, and then I'm going to need some more zeros. So 8 times 8 is 64, so I would have had 2 left over. So 8 into 20 actually only goes 2 times with, so 2 times 16 with 4 left over, and 8 into 40 goes 5, and then we've reached the end. All right, so if I said 54.6 divided by 8, it actually equals 6.825. Okay, now over here on this second example, we have we've got the dividing, but now we're dividing by a decimal as well, and we didn't do that over on the first one. We had a whole number. So what we can do is we're going to multiply this by, and I'm going to multiply it by 100. And the reason I do that is so I can get a whole number, because then that would make it 6. But if I do that to that number, I have to do that to this number too. So it means I've got to multiply this one by 100. As long as you do the same to both of them, it's okay. So I've done that. So let's write what we would have now. So now we have 89,305.6 divided by 6. So now it looks like what we originally had. So now I'll just do that, the same working out. I'm going to say 6 into 89,305.6, and off I go. So 6 into 8 goes once with 2 left over. 6 into 29 goes 4 with 5 left over. 6 into 53 goes 8 with 5 left over. So 6 into 55 goes 9, and I'll put the point with 1 left over. So 6 into 16 goes 2. I need to add some more zeros. So 2 times 6 is 12. So I've got 4 left over. So 6 into 40 goes 6 with 4 left over, and then obviously 6 into 40 goes 6, and we're just gonna keep on getting that 4 left over. Okay, so we now know that this is reoccurring, so we can now write our answer that 89.356 divided by 0.06 equaled 1489.26 reoccurring.